NATO, Kurt Volker, along with senior fellow for America First Policy Institute and author of the Iran House Tales of Revolution, Persecution, War, and Intrigue, Kenneth Timmerman. Gentlemen, great to be with you both this morning. Ambassador, I want to start with you. As Prime Minister Netanyahu convenes Israel's Security Cabinet meeting, President Trump, he really made it clear that Prime Minister Netanyahu would have no choice but to accept any potential deal that the U.S. reaches with Iran. The president said, I call the shots. As you know, the two had a very tense phone call last week, and Prime Minister Netanyahu really wants to continue his fight against Hezbollah. Ambassador, what does this mean as the U.S. tries to move forward towards a deal with Iran?
Right. Well, first off, I think you're right that President Trump is determined to get a deal. We know the key elements of that are passage through the Strait of Hormuz and Iran committing not to have a nuclear program. Those are still very difficult to achieve. Iran is not there yet. So until Iran is, the conflict is officially still alive. That gives Netanyahu the opportunity to continue to pursue Israel's interests by going after Hezbollah in Lebanon and seeking a separate deal there. But in the end of the day, President Trump is right when he decides that, okay, we have a deal that we can live with Iran, he will declare an end to hostilities and an end to support for Israel if Israel decides to continue the war from that point on. So Israel will stop as well at that time.
Yeah, and Kenneth, I want to ask you this. As you know, Iranian military's Joint Command announced that it was halting its offensive this morning, operations after exchanging fire with Israel. What does that indicate to you? I mean, do you believe, Kenneth, that this ceasefire is still intact now?
Look, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, has said the ceasefire is intact. The president has been very adamant about keeping it intact. We are putting tremendous pressure on the Iranians. Your previous guest, Hillary, mentioned some of the sanctions and the financial pressures on the Iranian leadership. All of these people have accounts overseas. Many of them had fancy apartments in Dubai, and they can no longer go back to those apartments because not just the U.S., but the UAE government has put sanctions on them and won't let them back into the country. Time is actually playing so far in our favor, in favor of the president, and I think the Iranians understand that. They're trying to figure out what Trump is doing, and they can't understand him.
Yeah, no, they cannot. And Ambassador, it seems that Iran is, calling upon all its proxies, the Houthis. They kind of reemerged overnight by firing rockets at Israel, and there are rumors that they're threatening to shut down the Red Sea there. So talk to us about that and what could happen if they close it off. Do you think that's a possibility?
Well, they can certainly try. They have missiles, they have attack vessels that could go after shipping there, much as Iran is doing in the Persian Gulf. That being said, the Houthis have had a relatively stable situation right now. They're not suffering direct attacks from the U.S., from Saudi Arabia, from Israel. That would change if they decided to try to shut down shipping in the Red Sea. So far, Iran has not pushed them to do that, and they are not really willing to do that. If this war escalates again, and Iran is in a more active phase of fighting, you could see that. You could see them try that, and then they would be subject to ferocious attacks as well. But I don't see that happening right now. I think we are still trending towards an agreement with Iran over the next few weeks or a month.
Yeah, and Kenneth, I want to talk about this. CNN, they had this interview with Iran's senior military leader who was talking about Iran's demand for billions of dollars. Listen to this.
If Trump takes the negotiations seriously, $24 billion is not much to America. If he wants to reach an agreement with Iran, this $24 billion is a test of trust that Iran wants to have with Trump. This is a test that America must pass.
All right, Ken, I want to get your take on that. And what would Iran do if they had billions of dollars?
Tracy, I got to tell you, first of all, that guy, Mohsen Rezai, His son learned English in my basement after he defected to the United States. He lived there for 6 months. I write about that in my book, The Iran House. I know a lot about this guy, Mohsen Rezai. He is a retread. He's been around since the beginning of the regime. He's always looking for a new position. Because of his son's defection, he was on the outs for over 15 years. Now he is like a cat lapping milk. He is so happy to say all the things he's been saying for years. The United States has to leave the Persian Gulf. He wants sanctions relief. He wants $24 billion. That's just for today. As he says, it's not much to us. But for Iran, it would help them to fund Hezbollah for 20 years. And that's exactly what they would do with the money. He is making one outrageous demand after another. Another one he made just yesterday was that the Strait of Hormuz has to remain under Iranian and Omani control. This is just unacceptable. He knows it's unacceptable, but he's trying to push back at Trump. Trump is playing with the Iranians like a cat with a mouse. The mouse is saying, "I'm still alive," until the cat eats him.
All right, and we're going to end it right there. Kenneth, Ambassador Volker, great to be with you both. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.